They refuse to move past the worst trade in the history of professional sport.
That's a Cleveland radio host, someone who's covered this front office for years, calling it flat out. Not a bad trade, not a risky move that didn't pan out. The worst trade in the history of professional sports. That's his opinion, not a box score. But it's an opinion from someone who watches this organization for a living, and it sets up everything you're about to hear. Before we go further, here's the question I actually want answered in the comments. When a front office makes its biggest investment in franchise history on one quarterback, and that bet goes bad, who should actually pay for it? The player, the coach, or the guy who made the trade? Because after this weekend, that question isn't hypothetical for the Browns anymore. And to be clear about why this matters beyond just one bad preseason game, this channel already covered Watson's actual press conference and what he said about the boos. This isn't that video. This is about the guy who put him in that position in the first place, and whether the organization that built this mess is finally going to have to answer for it.
The organization wouldn't move on from that wildly unlikable figure this offseason, and they actually tried soft launching him back to the fan base. It has backfired in epic proportions.
Sit with that. According to this host, the Browns were effectively trying to soft launch Watson back to the fan base this offseason, and he believes that effort has backfired. Whether that was a formal internal PR strategy or simply the organization trying to move forward and let goodwill rebuild naturally isn't something this channel can confirm. But whichever it was, the public reaction this weekend was rough, and that's the part that's actually documented.
And I was convinced going into that game, Deshaun was QB1.
Even the people closest to this team, the people who talk to sources inside the building every single week, thought this was basically decided before kickoff. That's how quickly the perception around the competition changed. One preseason game, one press conference, and a plan that reporters thought was locked in is suddenly not locked in at all. So who actually built this situation? Let's rewind for a second, because the context matters here more than it did last time we covered this story. In March of 2022, Andrew Berry, the Browns' general manager, sent 3 first-round picks, plus additional draft capital to Houston for Deshaun Watson, then signed him to a 5-year, $230 million contract that was fully guaranteed, the largest fully guaranteed contract in NFL history at the time. That deal came with Watson facing more than 20 civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct. He was never charged criminally, and the settlements are his business and the accuser's business, not something this channel is going to relitigate. The NFL did investigate, and ultimately suspended Watson for 11 games, and fined him $5 million for violating its personal conduct policy. Berry made the trade while that investigation was still ongoing. Put yourself in Berry's seat at that moment. He had a shot at a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback in his prime, and other teams pursuing him, including Atlanta and New Orleans, had backed off because of the allegations. Berry didn't back off. He leaned in, betting that talent and a full guarantee would outweigh the risk. For one season, the football justified almost nothing. Watson missed the first 11 games of 2022 on suspension and looked rusty in the 6 games he did play. Every season since has added another layer of regret, a fractured throwing shoulder that ended his 2023 season, then a torn Achilles in October 2024 that ended that season too, and while rehabbing from it, he re-ruptured his same Achilles in January 2025, requiring a second surgery and wiping out 2025 as well. The player Berry paid $230 million for has barely resembled the one he traded for. That's the swing Andrew Berry took, and 3 years later, the fan base still hasn't forgiven him for it, which is exactly what set the stage for this weekend. Think about the position that puts Berry in. Every other front office mistake in football gets fixed the normal way. You cut the guy, you eat a modest cap hit, you move on. That escape hatch doesn't exist here. The massive guarantee was a central part of the package that helped convince Watson to waive his no-trade clause and choose Cleveland after meeting with multiple interested teams. It worked in the sense that it got the trade done, but it also means the Browns are contractually stuck evaluating this quarterback long after most fan bases would have moved on. Benching Watson doesn't erase the financial obligation. The Browns are still responsible for the guaranteed money, even if he's no longer their starter. Because here's the thing about a fully guaranteed contract. The team can't just walk away from it. Every game Watson doesn't play well, every game he gets benched, every game the fans boo him off the field, the Browns still owe him the guaranteed money either way. So when Watson struggled and got booed out of Huntington Bank Field on Friday, this wasn't just a bad day for a quarterback. It was a very public referendum on a decision Berry was one of the key people behind 3.5 years ago that the franchise still can't get out from under.
The decision cannot be about reputation, contract history, or who was expected to win the competition 3 weeks ago. It has to be about who gives this team the best chance right now.
That's the actual tension at the center of this. This host is arguing the decision should be purely about football, but contract history is exactly what makes that so hard for this front office. A fully guaranteed $230 million investment doesn't just disappear from a spreadsheet because a rookie has a good half in preseason. Every dollar of that deal was Andrew Berry's call, and every dollar of it is still sitting on the books whether Watson ever takes another meaningful snap or not. And that's the trap this organization built for itself. If Monken benches Watson for Shedeur Sanders, that's the most expensive contract in franchise history losing out to a rookie, which is either the boldest correction this coaching staff could make, or a public admission that the biggest gamble in franchise history didn't work. If Monken sticks with Watson anyway, he's doing it in front of a fan base that just spent an entire game booing the guy, with the man himself on record saying he's not sure he can win them back. And whatever Monken decides, Berry still owns the history behind the decision. There isn't a version of this that makes Berry look clean. That's what happens when you remove your own exit ramp 3 years in advance. And notice what this host didn't say. He didn't say bench Watson because of the money, or start Watson because of the money. He said take the money out of it entirely. That's the correct football answer. It's also the hardest possible answer for a franchise whose general manager's reputation is still inevitably tied to defending, or at least living with, the consequences of the decision that created that money problem in the first place.
NFL.com reported after the game that Monken still wasn't prepared to name his starter, even though he had previously indicated he hoped to reach a decision around this point of the preseason.
So even Todd Monken, the guy who actually has to stand at the podium and announce this, isn't ready to say it yet. And you have to feel for him a little here. Monken didn't make the trade. Monken didn't write the guaranteed contract. He inherited this entire situation the moment he took the job, and now he's the one who has to walk out in front of cameras and clean up a mess that predates him by years. Let's be precise about who's actually responsible for what here, because it matters. Monken owns the quarterback decision. That's his call and his alone. Berry owns the consequences of the investment that made this decision so hard in the first place. Those are two different accountability tracks, and this video is about the second one. That's the part that should actually bother Browns fans watching this unfold. Monken has been measured and fair to both quarterbacks all camp, splitting reps, praising both players' growth, refusing to tip his hand. That's good coaching. But good coaching can only do so much when the real problem sitting underneath this competition isn't a coaching decision at all. It's a front office decision made back in 2022 that nobody in that building has the power to undo. Meanwhile, on the other side of this, the tone from independent Browns commentary is getting a lot less patient with the front office's indecision.
Outside of all of that, Shedeur Sanders won this QB competition fair and square. He was the better quarterback.
That's one independent Browns channel's read, not a confirmed decision, worth being clear about that. But it captures where a chunk of this fan base has already landed, days before the actual football people have said anything official. The gap between what fans and independent commentators already believe and what the organization is willing to say out loud is exactly the kind of gap that makes a front office look like it's dragging its feet. And it's not just outside voices pushing in that direction. There are signs Sanders is making an impression inside the building too.
Browns general manager Andrew Berry was also impressed with the way that Shedeur actually commanded the offense, the cadence, and all the things that we said that they actually wanted to see Shedeur improve on.
If that characterization of Andrew Berry's reaction is accurate, it's notable that the GM reportedly came away impressed with Sanders' command of the offense. That's one independent channel's characterization of Berry's reaction, not a direct quote from Berry himself standing at a podium. Different tier of sourcing than Watson's own words or Monken's actual press conference. Treat it as a signal worth watching, not a confirmed organizational stance until Berry says something on the record himself. So here's where this actually sits. Andrew Berry helped build this roster around a guaranteed contract that the fan base never accepted. After the Browns publicly continued to support Watson's return this offseason, the public backlash intensified in real time this weekend. Now Berry's got a head coach who inherited the mess and won't commit to an answer, a rookie quarterback who statistically outplayed Watson in Saturday's preseason game, and a fan base that's already made up its mind. That's not just a quarterback competition anymore. That's an accountability question, and a meaningful part of it sits on the GM's desk. And here's the uncomfortable part for Cleveland. The organization already made its first verdict on the Watson era. Kevin Stefanski is gone, fired back in January. Andrew Berry stayed. So this isn't just about whether Watson starts, it's about how much more runway the Browns are willing to give the executive who made the defining personnel gamble of his tenure. My read? Whatever gets decided in the next week, it's going to be read as a verdict on the trade itself, not just on who's better right now. If Shedeur gets the job, the optics will be brutal for Cleveland. The franchise's biggest investment at quarterback would have been displaced by a fifth-round pick. If Watson keeps it, that's Berry's front office doubling down on a bet a large chunk of the fan base has already rejected. Either way, the guy who actually has to answer for this isn't wearing a headset on Sundays. Drop your take below. Does Andrew Berry survive this decision, or is this the beginning of the end for him in Cleveland? I'll see you in the next one.